Okay, guys, what we're going to be going over today is we're going to be going over like how to use the dialer itself from a reporting standpoint and then from a day-to-day usage standpoint. We're recording this and I'll send over the recording in the notes. Before we kick off, have you got any questions, queries, or doubtful points?
I do, but we maybe just get it. Yeah, save it for once.
Okay, all right, perfect. Have you guys been explained, I guess, like how the campaigns work? Like the not only some like the nomenclature that's used, but I guess just like the methodology that's being used to call the leads.
Only thing that we know is the training videos that we've seen. That is as far as our knowledge goes.
Okay, so this is as a high level. The way that the dialer works is it's automated manual dialing, so which is like called campaign dialing. The reason why it's done that way is because it allows you to manipulate which lead is being sent to the person, you know, hundreds of times a minute. And so if there's a high lead volume that comes through, like if the leads come in 1, 2, 3, 4, then leads will be called 4, 3, 2, 1. Which is helpful because you're always getting a nice fast speed to lead. The way that it works from like a day-to-day usage standpoint is that you just have to be on ready mode. And then I'm not sure how you guys call leads at the moment, but if you're used to kind of going in and hunting and sort of cherry picking leads, it's not how it's done. We can do the cherry picking in the background and then we can cherry pick for you, especially as the account matures. It's sort of like marketing. Think of it more like marketing than it is anything else because you can split test different cadences and you can filter by lead source, et cetera, et cetera. And so we can do the cherry picking in the background. I'll teach you guys how to go and hunt leads, but the predominant campaign dialing is meant you sit there, you go on ready, and then everything is fed to you. There might be 10 minutes when no lead is fed to you. That doesn't mean anything is broken. It doesn't mean that there's no leads. It means that because of like minimum redial times, with, you know, Australian law and international law, like you can't dial people 2 minutes after each other. And if there's no new lead that's come in, there's going to be lag time sometimes, depending on how many old leads are in the system, how many new leads and how they're decided to being fed. Right? There can be times of 5 minutes where no lead comes in, right? The key is that you stay on ready because you never know when someone is going to opt in. If you go, oh, there's no lead, I'll log off and then come back an hour later and all of a sudden there's a big queue of leads. It's like, congratulations, you just ruined your speed to lead. So that's kind of how that works. So it's just a little bit of a different way of doing it. From a setter standpoint, everything that's done on the platform is tracked, just so you know, like every action is tracked. So I don't know if you guys are the cert team. Or not. Yeah. So like every action is tracked, like how you interact with every lead is tracked, and then it's sort of displayed on a dashboard. You guys probably aren't because it looks like you're in an office, but if you're used to working 2 hours a day and then making it look like you work an 8-hour day, it's not really possible on our system. It's quite easy to see. So I will just fair warn everybody. And if I get asked to like investigate something because it's quote unquote not working and I find out that everyone's working an hour and 10 minutes a day, like I will create a very in-depth report and I will send that to whoever needs to see it. I'll just let you know that, like, it's kind of my thing. So I'm just letting you know, like, I don't care if you get fired. It's not my problem. Like, do your work. I don't know. That's all I have to say about that. So, but I'm assuming you're all going to do your work. You have a very nice office. So what I'll do is I'll take you through from a reporting standpoint first. It's good to see and understand the numbers and nomenclature, and I'll send you a document after this, which goes through some of this so that you can be reminded of stuff. It is important to note that the dashboard itself can have errors, especially when it's like displaying a campaign being on or off. The key is like, if you see it off, it's unlikely, but I'll show you all that. We do get cosmetic errors, but very rarely do we get errors with the dialing because the dashboard is like a cosmetic thing, whereas the dialing is like a back-end system. So I'll go ahead and share my screen, take you through it, and then you guys can ask questions as you go. You guys can see that all right?
Yeah.
As we go through, this is like the main dashboard. You can pick whatever time zone you're in. And then from there, you have dashboarding, the reporting tab, settings tab, which only admins will have access to. And then you've got a help center. And then you've got this little button here, which launches the dialer. And then you've got this one here, which goes to the integrations and help center area. So total leads, and guys, just feel free to like, hey, stop, ask questions. Total leads is total leads in the system at that time. New leads is new leads that day. Exhausted leads is leads that have gone into a final cadence. So like they're no longer going to be dialable because they've been marked as DNC or appointment set or whatever. It's important to note that dialer is not like a lead storage facility. It's not a CRM. So once a disposition is final, they're out of our system. They can be put back in through CRM triggers and stuff like that. And I highly recommend like making sure that that's the case. That's sort of not how the system is designed to work. This is the dial attempts that day. You can also filter that by campaign, for example. So P1 is your first day of dialing. So that's your speed to lead campaign. So as we can see, they did $128 with 32 pickups and 7 conversions on that particular day on that campaign. The unique dial rate is, of the dials that were done, how many are unique leads? So if you have a 50% unique dial rate, you're calling everybody twice. Does that make sense?
Still don't really get what you mean by unique dial rate. I don't get that. Can you explain what that means?
So if you do 100 dials with a 50% unique dial rate, you dialed 50 leads twice, right? So you want that between 40 and 60 for your P1 and P2 campaigns. It doesn't really matter after that. If you're in 40 to 60 for P3 and P4, you're just over dialing your old leads, like realistically. And so the way that the cadences are set up as a default is 3 times day 1, 3 times day 2, right? Now you have to be online enough to be able to do that because it's going to prioritize a P1 with 1 dial over a P1 with 2 dials. Like that's how it will do it. And so you have to sort of be online enough to actually get those dials done. But if you're at like 90%, there's too many leads in the system for the amount of time that's being spent dialing or the amount of people that are spent dialing. Make sense?
Yeah.
Which will lower your contact rate. So here is contact rate, and there's 2 metrics. One is per dial, pretty straightforward. That is the dial to pickup ratio, right? One dial. Yeah.
With that unique dial rate, where it seems to be there's obviously a flow system that you want to stick with to make sure you're getting the most out of the leads and you're not getting loads of backlog. Would there be a point where, based on these stats, would want to dial back on how many leads we're trying to import? Because right now we've got a certain budget. Is that something that we'd want to keep?
You've got 2 options for that. You could send less new ones or you could call less of the old ones. So what I would do is go through and I would turn the P4 campaign off. And then if that didn't help, I would turn the P3 campaign off. Yeah. And then if after that, I would either need to onboard more people or get less leads to maintain like optimal ROAS or something.
So that's if that unique dial rate's in a very deficit, very high, right?
So the higher it is, the less times you're calling people. So with your contact rate, the per dial is exactly that. 100 dials, 25 pickups, 25%. And then you've got per lead. So this is the contact rate. So on this day, they spoke to 53% of the leads that they called, right? Which if you look at all the data makes sense. 25% pickup rate, 50% unique dial rate, 50% contact rate. Those numbers kind of make sense together, right? Number health for Australia doesn't really matter too much. Then from there, we can go into like the dials tabs. So for example, one of the things that should be checked pretty often, just go this one.
Sorry, Matthew, with the number health, he says it's not applicable for Australia?
No, because like there's no direct monitor in different ways. So we monitor
for a sec, right?
And flag monitoring in Australia doesn't exist. So in the US it does. So we can monitor on each carrier. But in Australia, we have to do it in different ways that aren't really dashboardable, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay, so it's still happening. It's just happening in the background.
Well, it's happening in terms of tracking the pickup rates of each number and then like being quite conservative with the usage and how each number is used. Okay. So like rotations are ramped up. Australia is also easier to dial in. There are less administrative stopgaps. So in here, you can check all your dials. The reason why this is kind of important is because you can check it by campaign, by disposition. One of the best ways to do it is just to go duration, longest to shortest, right? And then this is going to give you a pretty good idea. So request more info, right? The dispositions are broken down, and I'll show you them in a second. But you've got dispositions. Anything with an F is a final disposition. It means it removes it from dialing, okay? So it's final. This is it. It's done, right? Same with DQ. That's a final disposition as well. So you can run a report of all the DQs for the month. And then you can send it off to you could also do that by lead source as well, disposition lead source. So you could get all that tracking and just send it off to marketing and go, hey, these are the crap ones, these are the good ones. But also it helps from a managerial standpoint because if someone's getting a lot of request more infos, because I can do it by agent. So let's say I do this person or whatever. Looks like they're not there anymore. So, but it is person, I go, okay, request more info, wrong timing, request more info, wrong avatar. Like that's an awfully long call to figure out that it's the wrong timing. So to me, that would indicate training. So I would go in, I can then like listen to the call here. You can also, through your Zapier, through Make or whatever it is you're using to set up the integration, you can get that call recording directly into your CRM. You can download it there. If it's incorrectly dispositioned, you can do it here. So if you incorrectly disposition a call, you need to go in and fix it because it's going to have a CRM trigger, for example. And
Question.
then, yeah.
With the requested more info, why would that be a final disposition and not a call? Wouldn't you send them more info and then follow?
It doesn't have to be. You can have it not be, but you know, because you can make a disposition do whatever you want. Generally speaking, like this one, for example, they have it as a final, and then they're going to send it for, you know, nurture within the CRM, right? Okay. Or you can schedule a callback. You can do a bunch of stuff. But these are like the default ones. We also have hang up in less than 15 seconds. That's not really designed to be like an aggressive hang up. What it's designed to be is like someone who's like, hey, I'm busy. Can you call me back later? So it's less than 15 seconds. The reason why that's important is because I don't know about you guys, but if I'm really busy, I never like if I'm actually busy, I'm not picking up an unknown number. That's a weird thing to do. So chances are it's just an